And we're back. And shout out to anyone that like actually cares about like the video analysis that I do. I mean, it's like I do this just to, I like to teach, but at the same time, it's like good stuff to know, you know. So I guess with that being said, let's dive into where we're sitting at and like future projections for the next few days. So I think at the end of last week, I was pretty confident in that we would break into the 200 range this week. What was it? Let's see. What did we end the week at? It was like, let's see. So this was Friday, this day right here, right? And so at the time, like if I go to, I think it was, this is the 8th, that was the 18th, right? So fun fact, if any of you have Thinkorswim, right, you can do this type of stuff. So we'll go to that date. October 15th, right, we're here. So let's ignore like the rest of my drawings. At the time, right, so the setup that I was eyeing was a 1-2-1-2, just solely off the reason that everything played out more or less the way I expected it to from like a TA standpoint. So with that being said, what I did to analyze was, you had your first wave 1 up, and then your wave 2 came down to your 0.618, which is most commn, right? So after hitting that, I was like, okay, more likely, we're setting up to finally begin our wave 3, where we're going to break out of this, high 170, 180 range. And sure enough, we got upwards pressure from there, but, we topped at like, 190, and from there I thought, okay, we have a 1-2 and then a 1-2. From there, we're going to, that's when we really start to ramp up. Obviously, that's not quite what happened, but, if you pull up our fib levels, it's pretty convincing, right? Because your wave 2, most commonly you'll see your 0.618 retrace hit, and we found pretty strong support here at the 180, 181 area on Friday before we got that nice little bump up towards the close. So that being said, that was the hypothesis a week ago, but now obviously the structure's developed more, and I'm going to turn off on demand so we can see like where we're sitting now. And so obviously that's not quite what happened. So what I'm gonna do now is this is the count that makes the most sense to me. Leading diagonal. In a leading and ending diagonal, you can't have first of all, you can't have this in a wave 3. It can only be in a wave 1 or a wave 5. So the traits of a leading diagonal or ending diagonal is you'll have your 5 waves. This is the only time where your wave 4 can go into the territory of wave 1. If it ever happens in a wave 3, your count's wrong. But if it's in a 1 or a 5, that does happen. Your first instinct should be, oh, this is a diagonal, because, right, this is your wave 1, 2, then 3. Theoretically, if it was truly impulsive and not a diagonal, we shouldn't have came back below this 188.4 area, but we did. And we've been traveling in this, as the name suggests, diagonal formation. But with diagonals, the formation you'll get is like 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. So you'll have your 1, 2, 3 to make a 1, 2, 3. This is negligible. You could count it like that or like that. Doesn't really matter. 3, 1, 2, 3 into 4, and then 1, 2, 3 into 5, right? Checks out. And then from there, that would form a larger wave 1. Wherein from there, we'd expect an ABC down into a 2, and that's when we start to really move. So the cool thing is, or like on the bright side, I have a pretty clear... Stop. I have a pretty clear view... Bro, stop. I have a pretty clear view on the structure now, right? Like this makes the most sense to me because I was tweeting this out yesterday. We had to break below this wedge formation to, kind of confirm that this is like a diagonal formation. And so obviously we did. And from there, here's why I was convinced, with this bounce that the diagonal idea makes the most sense. So hypothetically, let's assume that, this move up marked the entire, larger wave 1. From there, your first move down, we ticked at the 0.382 level, which is really common. You'll see, 0.382, then recover up somewhere, usually above 0.236. Yeah, sorry. You'll tick the 0.382, recover somewhere up into this area, and then your move down from there is going to be equivalent to the length of this move. So the reason I have this level here, 190, as a potential high for tomorrow, obviously, I don't know if it'll hit that. I just like to forecast. The reason I have that is because if we measure the, what I see now is, this is your A, and your B, and your C into a larger B, right? So you'll have your A down, B up, but in that B, you have an ABC within it, right? So ABC into the B, then you'll have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down into your C. Max pain for the week is 182.5, I believe. So it makes sense. Will we go from 190 to 180 in a day or two? Again, I don't know. I just like to forecast, using typical wave analysis. And so, also really quick, I'm going to dive into, this is a good play I made today. On the topic of covered calls, I don't really tweet about this anymore, but, you had your A up, B down, and then your C should gain parity with the A, right? So we ticked right there. I was like, oh, bet. We rejected, so I opened covered calls. I think I closed like around here. I had fibs up, but not digging too deep into that. But this is just an example, right? The ratios apply on all time levels. So A and your B, I'm willing to bet this was 50 to 61.8% retrace. And if we look closer, right, and again, this is like a 1 minute tick chart, but yeah, right, there's your 0.618. So, it's just a matter of like, if you really want to practice and like learn these structures and fib relationships, just watch it in real time, draw out projections, and if you're feeling ballsy, act on it. But with that being said, let's touch a little bit more on this target right here. So, right, A up, B down, assuming this is the low. I guess it technically went a little bit lower. But if, I'm curious, what level did we come down to? Yeah, again, see, there's your 0.618, again. Super common. So in the end, we'd expect this move here, so A up, B down, and the C should be the same length of this move to form the top of our B wave within a wave 2, right? So this is like your move up, and then you have one more move down, and that's when we start to move, whenever we hit this level. And then finally, forecasting this, what I did to do that is here. Fib extensions, measure A down, and then assuming that we hit the A equals C parity at this level, that would put 1-to-1 at like 180. So hopefully that makes sense. I think I've explained like the structure pretty well. This is the only count that I really see at the moment. Just based off of this fib level tick right there, that I don't want to say confirmed because nothing's ever confirmed. But, using fibs from the low of the move to the high of the larger degree wave 1, this is like a very common bounce that we'll see. And because we did have that relationship, that makes me think that, okay, this view, what I see here is right. And so from there, that's what I expect from there. And after we hit this level, be it, it could be anywhere between like 182 and 176. We just don't know. But forecasting, the upsides from there that everyone really loves. Most commonly, we'll see wave 3 is 1.618 to 1 of 1. So measure low of 1, high of 1, assuming we bottom here. That would put most common wave 3 into next week at like 220. So right now, it's just a matter of waiting for this low to come in. My guess is we'll see some upward action on Thursday. Trap option buyers, market makers hammer the price down into this area. That marks the wave 2, and then leading into next week, we really start to move. Hopefully that makes sense. One final thing to touch on. I'm not really a big fan of like, drawing wedges. It helps, don't get me wrong, but it's very, subjective to the person drawing them. But, looking at this, and again, right, there's so many different ways to draw it. Like, you could have so many different, convergence states. That's the word I was looking for. The convergence state on here comes out to 11.9, 11.8. And so next week being the first week of November, it makes sense. So you'd start to, finally break out of this wedge. That's just a super basic view. Hopefully that makes sense. If you have any questions, feel free to comment or tweet at me. I'm happy to, dive in a little bit deeper to what I see. But, from here, this is what makes sense. And do keep in mind, though, this wave 1, wave 2, 3, 4, 5, wherever that ends up finishing, that'll just be a wave 1 within, and that degree will be this pink right here. So like that move up will basically be equivalent to this here. Then from there, after we get that move, so let's say we complete it, in like a week or two, we'd expect one more drop down before we really start to move. And if it mimics, like the same fashion of this explosive move here on August 24th, then we'd expect, 392, 393. But obviously we're not there yet. When we do get there, I will, I'll be going manic. I will be ecstatic. And until that happens, it's just a waiting game. So patience, everyone. Our time is coming. We're almost there. Week's almost over. This is just what makes the most sense to me. So we'll see if it happens. If not, doesn't really matter. I'm just holding my shares anyways. And with that, I will catch you next time. Thanks for watching.